Hello and welcome to the Motoring News Zone, the show where we take you through all the biggest stories in the world of cars right now. This week, General Motors' $4 billion investment in the US car manufacturing market has been detailed. A new EV battery that charges in 18 seconds has entered production. And Florida is taking a tougher stance on speeders. All that and a whole lot more is covered in this week's show. If you're watching on YouTube, skip to the timestamps in the video description below to see the story that you are most interested in. Without further delay though, let's dive in. So recently we brought you a story from the state of Connecticut going over a speeding law, a super speeder law, where basically if you go over a certain speed, if you speed severely, not just a little bit over the limit, but massively so, then you could potentially get a $1,000 fine and some jail time on top of that as well, in addition to all the vehicle recovery and storage costs that you may well have to pay if that is the case. Now, that has not come into effect yet. That is still being voted through in their local government, but it is expected to pass. And indeed, the state of Florida, the Sunshine State itself, has enacted a law that is going to come into effect very soon that you need to be aware of if you are a driver in FL. So let's have a look at what this fine is, when it comes into effect, and everything else you need to know. Just like in Connecticut, this has been dubbed the Super Speeder Law, and the new rule comes into effect as soon as July 1st. From then, anyone who is caught doing over 100 miles an hour or even driving 50 miles an hour over the speed limit could face these new penalties. So if you're going 100 miles an hour in a 70 zone or more, if you're doing, 80 or more in a 30 zone, you will be subject to the super speeder law. Now, like anything when it comes to this, the aim of this law is to try and reduce fatalities and serious injuries on the road, not just for drivers, but also for pedestrians as well, who of course can come very much afoul when it comes to dangerous driving. Obviously, for things like this, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but the penalties can include fines that go up to $1,000, up to 30 days in jail, or even both in severe cases. And repeat offenders can get up to 90 days in jail. So if you offend more than once, you're going to be spending a long time in the slammer. And if drivers get caught for a second time within 5 years, they can have their license revoked. And if you do get caught, even if you're a first-time offender, you will have to appear at court to defend yourself. Now, the law was tabled by independent Hollywood Senator Jason Pizzo and Republican Representatives Danny Alvarez of Hillsborough County and Susan Placencia of Orlando, and it passed unanimously in the Florida Senate. The law came about because of the death in 2022 of 11-year-old boy Anthony Resnick in Sunny Isles Beach. In this incident, the boy was hit and killed in a crosswalk by a speeding driver, Samantha Toussaint, and she was traveling at roughly 85 miles per hour in a residential zone without headlights and had no insurance. I imagine the speed limit in that area was around 30 miles an hour. Either way, doing 85 in a zone like that is absolutely inexcusable. Unsurprisingly, with conduct like that, the driver in question had more than 24 prior traffic citations and a suspended license. She was not criminally charged though, as prosecutors said that there was insufficient evidence to charge her under Florida law as it stood at the time. An absolute joke of a decision. And justice for all. Instead, she was given a suspension on her license for 8 years and ordered community service and also fines on top of that. But compared to the person she obviously took the life of, that just doesn't seem enough now, does it? And while this change in the law seems like a positive, a lot of Florida residents aren't particularly happy about it, or at least the way that laws are currently enforced or lack thereof. Commenters on this post have pointed out the fact that, well, yeah, you've got these strict speeding laws, but you're never pulling people over for it. The police don't seem interested in it, and indeed, unless they actually change their attitude on that, it's not going to change really. It's only if there is an accident, if someone does have a collision with either a pedestrian or a stationary object or of course another vehicle, that these people normally get caught. But overall, if you're doing over 50 miles an hour over the speed limit or 100 miles an hour, there's not really an excuse for doing that. But guys, get your thoughts in the comments below. Is it a positive change? Has this come too late? And does it really matter if the police don't enforce it? I want to hear what you have to say, especially from the Florida men and Florida women in the comments section. Interesting story I found here for you guys regarding a business owner and how they claim that they've lost $70,000 due to owning a Cybertruck and the damage that has caused his business because of Elon Musk's, shall we say, interesting activities outside of running Tesla as a company. We've spoken a lot about how there's now a court case going on in France for lost value, basically, when it comes to the value of their Teslas because of what Musk has been saying and doing. We'll bring you any kind of update with that as it comes, as always. But how has this person lost 70k? Well, it's not due to the value of their Cybertruck falling, but something else, something that is probably even more important. I will explain all in this video here for you guys on the channel, so let's dive in. So the long and short of it is that this business owner drives a Cybertruck and claims they've lost $70,000 in business contracts because customers didn't like the fact that he drove a Cybertruck. Yoni Maneka said, "I have a dilemma. I started to lose customers because I have a Cybertruck. I got some bad reviews and I am not sure what to do." But he added that he actually does really like the Cybertruck. He said it's the best truck he's ever had, even though it's not a truck. And everybody knows that reputation online very much matters when it comes to your business. And indeed, this person has had some negative reviews referencing the fact they use a Cybertruck, which, to be honest, I think that's a bit petty, to be honest, really. I mean, as long as they come and do a good job, does it really matter what vehicle they're driving? You know, this person's attached to a company called Blue Angels Roofing that does some roofing down in Alabama and the state of Georgia as well. Does it really matter what vehicle they're driving? I don't know. I won't give someone a negative review just because there's things... I mean, you can criticize their choice of vehicle all you want, but as long as they come and do a good job, who really cares? That's what you get them for. You don't get them for the choice of car. You get them to, you know, repair your roof, upgrade your roof, or whatever you're doing. But this isn't the only time this has happened. A medical spa owner in Massachusetts told NBC Boston in February that he's faced harassment and client cancellations after purchasing a gold-wrapped Cybertruck to promote his business. I mean, okay, maybe that's not the smartest move, but still, as long as it's a nice spa, as long as you're having a nice relaxing time, does it really matter? But yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on it, guys. I mean, we know that Tesla are really struggling right now, but I feel for that roofer, you know. I mean, yeah, you know, you've made a questionable decision to buy a Cybertruck, but presumably you probably did that before Musk started doing his Roman salutes, as we shall put it from now on, you know. I'd like to think so anyway. But at the end of the day, a lot of people disassociate Musk from Tesla. It's so ingrained in it, obviously, but, you know, to a lot of people, it's just a car. You know, it's just a vehicle. You don't have to agree with everything that Musk does to buy a Tesla. I know a lot of people that own Teslas that have completely just rubbished Musk. Like I said, the Cybertruck, not the most practical, not the best vehicle by any means, but as long as they get the job done, does it really matter? Those are my kind of thoughts on it, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always. Have a great day in the world today and get your thoughts in the comments below on this. Would you turn down a tradesperson just because they've got a Cybertruck? I want to hear what you have to say about this, but I'd be a bit surprised personally because I'm in the UK and Cybertrucks are not legal on the roads here, but for you in the US, I want to hear what you have to say about this. This is really interesting. A EV battery has been developed here in the UK and it has been approved for mass production. Now, what makes this EV battery interesting is the fact that it can apparently fully recharge in 18 seconds, not 18 minutes or 18 hours, 18 seconds. It seems too good to be true, but what's the truth behind it? What's the reality of it? I'll let you guys know in this video as always. So the RML Group was granted conformity of production certification for its VAR E-Volt battery earlier this month. The government approval signifies that the firm can mass produce the powerful batteries for EV manufacturers, obviously electric cars being one of the biggest customers for that, no doubt. RML Group said in a statement on this news that it underlines our readiness to move from prototyping and niche volumes to supporting larger production contracts. This battery is serious when it comes to how much power it's going to deliver. The VAR E-Volt battery can supply around 6 kilowatts per kilogram, and it's capable of dumping all of its power really, really quickly, according to RML. The battery has a C rating of 200, meaning it's capable of full charging or discharging in around 18 seconds. By comparison, the fully electric Porsche Taycan's battery has a C rating of about 4, so it's around 50 times quicker. And in the case of the Porsche, that means that it can charge in around somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes, which is still pretty quick, but not quite as quick as this. And we brought you news not that long ago going over BYD and their amazing battery that can recharge as fast as you would actually fill up your car at a petrol station. But this is even faster than that, 18 seconds. I mean, that's not even quick enough to make yourself a cup of coffee. And it's not all about this ultimate power delivery and charging. You can tune it down depending on what the manufacturer actually needs. So it doesn't have to recharge in 18 seconds. If that is too quick or asking too much, you can tone it down. thanks to the modular design, as RML puts it. And in fact, it's already being used in some applications, such as the Zinger 21C hybrid hypercar that uses a combination of electric motors and energy stored within the battery, as well as an internal combustion engine that burns gasoline. Now, for the moment, it's not being mass produced. Only a few of them are being made, but over time, as it becomes cheaper and more readily available, you imagine, especially as more manufacturers presumably want to take an interest in it and want to try it out in their vehicles, it'll become more and more popular. This is very much an interesting bit of tech. And in fact, they're already working on kits to convert the battery packs in older hypercars. Older, by the way, only a few years old, not old by any means, but they are going to try it with hypercars such as the Ferrari LaFerrari and also the McLaren P1. And it'd be interested to see how much horsepower those actually have with electric motors that are developed by RML rather than Ferrari and McLaren. But the main thing is, as Patrick Shepherd has pointed out, that what RML don't mention is the fact that you do need a flux capacitor that can produce around 21,000 gigawatts to charge up and only works above 88 miles an hour. If you know that reference, good on you. If you don't, go watch Back to the Future. It's a great film. But yeah, your thoughts about this in the comments below, guys. If it is as good as they say, and if it can be readily available in the near future, if it can be a relatively cheap alternative in time, as things often do, technology moves forward, it becomes lighter, cheaper, and more readily available. Right now, it might be pretty exclusive, but over time, you imagine that will change. Amid reports that the Cybertruck and Model Y are going to be paused in terms of their production by Tesla, their stock price has dropped 4% on Tuesday, a huge drop in stock price for Tesla amid growing concerns about the future of the company. Now, why are they pausing production of the Model Y and the Cybertruck? Simply because they've got too many of them in surplus. The demand has not been as high as forecast, particularly, of course, for the Cybertruck. We brought you a story a while ago going over the fact that there are reportedly up to $1 billion worth of Cybertrucks just sat in parking lots effectively, waiting to be sold, unable to be sold for now. So there's no point producing more of them and just making more surplus. They need to go and sell the stock that they already have, of course. And it's also affecting the Model Y as well, which again has not had the same demand as anticipated. According to Business Insider, the Cybertruck and the Model Y will both pause production on June 30th at the Austin, Texas Gigafactory. Indeed, this would be the third such shutdown in just 12 months. It's not even an isolated incident, it's the third time it's happened in the last 12 months. Tesla, unsurprisingly, have not responded to requests for comments as of the time of recording regarding this pause. Tesla are currently busy though at the moment. They are of course launching their robo-taxi very soon in Austin, Texas, with the trial set to begin on June 22nd, the end of this week. And there's a lot of hype around this, in fairness, given the fact that Musk himself shared some footage reported to be the robo-taxi recently on X. But others are very concerned about the full self-driving mode on these robo-taxis, as they are unleashed on the roads of Austin, Texas, albeit in small numbers initially. And indeed, some groups have been protesting in Austin regarding the robo-taxi's potential launch in the Texan city. Not least because the Dawn Project released some footage recently of just how unsafe this full self-driving mode can be in edge cases such as school buses. In this demonstration, the Model Y drove past a stopped school bus with its stop sign out and struck a child-sized mannequin which was pulled in front of the moving car, simulating a child running across the street to catch a bus. If that was your kid, you'd be more than fuming at something like that. So clearly, going off of that test, this does need some work. Hence why they're of course doing these tests, but some have questioned whether they're actually alright and safe to go out into the field, as it were, onto public roads. But then some will also point out the fact that Dawn Project's founder sells technology to Tesla's competitors, so they would have an active interest in trying to discredit their name. However, of course, Tesla and Elon Musk are doing a fine job of doing that themselves. So take it as you will, guys. Your thoughts in the comments below. Are you a local resident in Austin? Do you feel safe going around the streets knowing that these robo-taxis are on the way? Or do you think they are not ready to head into the wild, as it were, just yet? Your thoughts in the comments below, as always, are appreciated, guys. So we brought you some news the other week about General Motors and how they are going to invest around $4 billion in upgrading facilities around the United States. This is basically in response to the Trump tariffs on the auto industry, where not only vehicles that are imported into the United States subject to severe tariffs, but also the parts that are used to manufacture them as well. So General Motors basically want to move more of their operations in-house, for lack of a better term, into the United States to be more accurate. And this could really change things when it comes to the car market. This could very much shift the power balance towards companies such as GM over in the United States, whereas companies outside of the US, for example, a lot of the Japanese companies like Toyota and Honda have done very well in the past. But how will this benefit GM, and how may it benefit as well the customers that are buying these cars? Here's everything you need to know. So the big reason for the investment, like I said, it's basically because of the tariffs. They want to bring more manufacturing into the United States, and they also want to bring more actual materials and vehicles into the US as well. And GM aren't in the best position for this when it comes to the big three. According to The Street, only around 52% of vehicles that are made by GM are produced within the United States, compared to 57% for Stellantis and Ford at a massive 77%. They very much do need to catch up to Ford in this regard if they are to do anything about their competition. In fact, if they don't do anything about it, they will lose around $5 billion. That is what Mary Barra, their CEO, has predicted ever since the tariffs have been announced. But like I said, they are doing something about it. They are investing around $4 billion in facilities. For example, the Orion plant in Detroit, which has been sat effectively unused since 2023, this will be upgraded to manufacture full-sized SUVs and light-duty pickup trucks as well, which is of course very high when it comes to the profit margin on those vehicles compared to other things like EVs and sports cars. However, that's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be immediately up and operating. They're predicting this will take around 2 years, so it will actually start producing vehicles in 2027 at the earliest. And in fact, these tariffs are not only going to hit the car manufacturers, but also the consumers as well. A lot of people are predicting that the price of vehicles will increase, and already we have actually seen the effects of this. Both the used and the new car markets are going up in terms of their average price. Indeed, I brought you a story yesterday going over the fact that the average used car price in the United States is now over $30,000. And in fact, the average price of a new car is almost $50,000. And because of this as well, we may well see issues when it comes to the supply of certain parts for cars. So, for example, optional extras that you might want on a vehicle might not be available. Certain trim options, certain engine options, certain options when it comes to the electronics in the inside of your car, those options may not be available when you try and purchase a vehicle. Of course, that's very much a first world problem, but in the past, that was never a problem. In fact, that's how a lot of dealerships make a lot of their money, the optional extras that they slap onto cars as well. Oh, do you want the standard version? No, you want the nice one with the chrome rims. Of course you do. That's how they make the real money. But how is this going to affect car prices? Well, like I said, with these tariffs that are going to be in place, they will make any cars that is either produced outside of the US or with parts that are imported from outside of the US and assembled in the US, that will hit them very hard. Now, the easy solution, or the solution that makes the most sense to this, is to produce all your parts in the US and assemble them in the US to make vehicles. Easier said than done. You need all those facilities to be there. That is what GM are doing. But how is it going to impact prices? Well, a lot of people think that might mean that the overall price of these vehicles does decrease. And there is a school of thought when it comes to, after all, they are not subject to tariffs. But that percentage, that profit margin will be different. Because instead of using relatively cheap labor and relatively cheap parts to make these vehicles, they will be doing so in the US. Therefore, wages are more expensive, the production costs are more expensive. So it could well, in fact, make vehicles more expensive than what they were in the past to actually produce in the US. Other people disagree with that. We'll have to see what happens. The proof will be in the pudding, as we say. But your thoughts in the comments are appreciated as always, guys. Like I said, GM very much making moves. They are clearly wanting to invest in US manufacturing, which is a positive. But what's it going to mean for the consumer? We'll have to wait and find out. Like I said, that facility in Detroit is not going to be open for another 2 years at least. So we're not really going to see the impact of that just yet. But the impact of the tariffs, that will come a lot sooner. Bad news for Honda. They are recalling over 250,000 vehicles, 259,000 to be exact. Why is this? It's all down to a dangerous brake pedal defect found in some of their vehicles. Here's the full story, guys, if your vehicle is likely to be affected by this and what it's going to mean for the Japanese car giant. Honda is recalling over 250,000 Honda and Acura vehicles due to a problem with a brake pedal defect that could potentially present a safety hazard to both drivers and pedestrians as well as passengers as well. American Honda announced the recall impacting some Honda Pilot sedans from the model year 2023 to 2025, Acura MDA SUVs from the model year 23 to 25, and Acura TLX sedans from the model year 21 to 25. This was all announced this Wednesday, and they said that their brake pedal assemblies have to get checked at a dealership. So if they haven't already been in touch and you own one of these vehicles in that model year, they will be. In the recalled vehicles, the brake pedal could potentially shift out of position, a problem that could result in unintended application or compromise the driver's ability to safely slow or stop the vehicle, the automaker said. The potential issue stemmed from a pivot pin in the recalled vehicle's brake pedal not being staked during production, according to a recall report filed with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA. It could also cause abnormal brake pedal feeling during operation, illuminate the brake malfunction light in the instrument cluster, or cause the vehicle's brake lights to remain lit even when the brake pedal is not applied, according to Honda. Now, the recall times for these vehicles vary, so like I said, check with your dealership. If you own one of these vehicles in this year, they will have more information on it, and of course, in time, both Honda and Acura will be getting in touch with the vehicle owners affected by this. Thankfully, though, this problem has not resulted yet in any injuries or deaths, although, of course, if you have one of these vehicles in those model years, until it gets checked out, just try and drive a bit carefully or try and use a different vehicle if you have access to another one. Dealerships will be getting in touch for their customers to bring these vehicles down to the dealership. They will then replace the affected part at no cost to the drivers. This will not get you out of pocket at all, so absolutely do it when that letter comes through. So there you go, guys. Are you affected by this? Let us know in the comments below. Good news for fans of Corvettes and fast cars in general. General Motors have unveiled the quickest Corvette ever. The ZR1X Hypercar will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in less than 2 seconds. Absolutely rapid. Corvette's lineup is being expanded by GM with an all-new high-performance hybrid variant of the quintessential American sports car. The Detroit automaker on Tuesday revealed the 2026 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1X Hypercar, which is essentially a more beefed-up version of the Corvette E-Ray hybrid that went on sale a couple of years ago. It features similar performance outputs to the automaker's current Corvette ZR1, including the twin turbocharged V8 engine, but has faster accelerations thanks to the electrification technologies. Essentially, for you guys that don't know, when you've got EV motors like that, what you can effectively do is get rid of the torque curve. It is instant acceleration, and that is what the electric power, that part of the hybrid engine, will do to ensure that it can go 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. It's absolutely bonkers, to put it mildly. What's the top speed though? How fast can it go in a straight line? Well, Corvette are stating that it can do up to 233 miles an hour, which is absolutely incredible. And it can do that, of course, with over 1,000 horsepower, 1,064 to be precise, and that produces 828 foot-pounds of torque. And because of the electrical options in this car as well, you can go with all-wheel drive with this, thanks to motors that produce 186 horsepower as well as 145 foot-pounds of torque. Again, that's a lot. That's more than what some production cars make by themselves, and that's just the electric motors. Now, interestingly, I can't find a price for this vehicle. That has not been announced yet, but the ZR1, the more baseline model version of this, I mean, it's still a very fast car, that retails for just over $200,000. So I imagine this will be quite a lot more than that, but in terms of things like tariffs, this should not be hit much by them at all, assuming, of course, that all the parts are, in fact, from the United States. It's definitely made in the US. All Corvettes are currently produced at the GM assembly plant in Bowling Green in the state of Kentucky, and the actual prices for them will be revealed later this year. The ZR1X will also be available as a convertible or a coupe as well, or a coupe for you guys in the US. And the coupe includes a rear wing splitter window as an homage to the well-known 1963 Corvette. So there you go, guys. I'll put some images on the screen while I've been talking about this. It's an incredible car, and also put a cheeky one on that 1963 Corvette if you're not too familiar with it. An absolute beauty of an American sports car if I ever saw one. But yeah, let us know what you think about this, guys. Corvette, I think, are definitely winning a lot of fans right now with what they are producing, but I want to hear what you have to say about this in the comments below. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe as always, and have a fantastic day wherever in the world today, and we'll see you soon.